kind of seen what was going on. Got him waters. Noticed the kid was, I want to say unconscious.
Right.
It was a kind of a devastating scene.
And they had asked you not to call police? Like, tell me about the altercation that happened when you told them not to leave and how you stopped them.
Well, when I had walked out, at this time, the back of the box truck was closed. And I didn't know that there were any other children in there because they were off to the side a little bit. And so as I'm walking out, running to the vehicle, the gentleman who was driving, he had turned off the vehicle, and for kind of a split second, I didn't know if he was armed or anything like that. So as he reached down to unclip his belt buckle, I was kind of taken back for a second, but he had gotten out of the vehicle, and he couldn't really speak that well. He had I think it's called a trachea,
yeah,
whatever it's called.
We saw it in the picture.
And so he had exited the vehicle and went around to the rear of the vehicle and had opened up the box van, the roll-up door. And that's when I noticed the other kids in there, and my breath was taken away at that point. And the lady that was in there, she was worried about me calling the cops. I'm not sure for what reason, but she was definitely worried about me calling the cops and everything like that. And I told her I didn't care at that point. The cops are on their way. EMS, fire is on their way. Mm-hmm. You cannot have these kids in this situation like this. This is child endangerment. And she's, oh, you're calling the cops, you're calling them. Like, yeah, I already did.
Right.
Too bad, so sad. They're already called, and sorry about your luck, but I did what I had to do to save these children here.
Yeah.
And so while Nick was inside getting waters, I had ran back inside and left them out there. Thank goodness they didn't leave, but they were, before I stopped the vehicle, they were pulling out, getting ready to get on the road. So I had stopped him, and while I ran back in to get waters, I came back out, and I was letting every child get a drink of the water. Some nice ice-cold water in their system probably helped them very much. Mm-hmm. And at this time, I'm still focused on the little boy who was sitting in the car seat, and he was very unresponsive, unconscious looking. He was about as bright red as a tomato. His head was covered with sweat, looked like he just got out of the shower type thing. So I had sprung more into action, and I had got into the U-Haul and picked the child up from the car seat and took him out to the back bumper of the vehicle, set him on the bumper, and from that point I had grabbed a couple ice cubes out of the water that I got, and I was rubbing him on his neck. I gave him a little sip of water, dumped a little bit of water on his chest, some cold water, and by that time he looked up at me and he smiled a little bit. So I could tell that he was coming around, and by that point EMS was there and they were getting his vitals at that point, so I figured everything was just going to be okay and well at that point.
What were the other kids doing at that time?
They had a Slurpee,
okay,
or slushy, something they were all sharing and drinking out of, but they were kind of just being kids at that point. The condition that they were in was pretty absurd, and the fact that the woman was smoking cigarettes in there just kind of kills me a little bit, because he noticed the ashtray and the cigarette roller that was back there, and there was another older gentleman, I think his age was about 15. He didn't really know what to do. He didn't really say anything, but the kids were happy. They were talking to me and talking to their brother, trying to get him to say his name and stuff like that, and at that point I'm just trying to hold his head up, and he's just looking at me and kind of smiling, like I think he wanted to say thank you if he could talk.
Right.
But other than that, smelled like feces. There were dogs in there, and I don't know if they were living in those conditions or if those persons were their mother and father or babysitting or something. But it was very appalling, to say the least.
Were you scared to talk to the driver?
No, No, not at all.
Just went for it.
For the second, when he reached to
Yeah.
unclip the seatbelt, it was kind of scary. But other than that, I'm not a confrontational kind of guy, so I just did what I had to do, and I got confrontational for a little bit and told the driver to please exit the vehicle.
Right.
In a calm sense of manner.
And they were mad though at you, or?
I think the lady was a little bit, but other than that, I didn't care. Everybody else, there was a passenger in the vehicle as well. He didn't say anything. The 15-year-old didn't say anything, and the driver also didn't say anything. It was the female who was more or less worried about the situation and calling the cops and everything else.
Right. And so what was the scene when the police and EMS showed up?
It wasn't chaotic by any means. It was
Okay.
very calm, and they did their job just like any other day, and they got the vitals. They got the smaller child into the back of the ambulance and got him some fluids and took care of him, which they did very quickly.
Not only did they save their lives, but they changed the trajectory of their life.
It's really emotional.
Thank you.
So proud of them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Especially in today's society where people don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
You two stepped up. You saw something that didn't look right. You took action, and the mayor's exactly right. I mean, you probably saved these children.